Hello, my name is Tani Sanchez. I'm a professor in Africana Studies at the University of Arizona. I have taught several classes in film, and I have also taught classes in African American history and literature. What I'm going to do is look at the film The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. She published this book in 2017, and it became very popular, even critically acclaimed, a New York Times bestseller. In 2018, it was translated into a movie directed by George Tillman Jr. Distributed internationally, it premiered at the 2018 Toronto International Film Festival. Now, when translations go from books to film or cinema, there's often a concern about fidelity, about how well the film captures the essence of the book, especially when the book is well written and complex, the way this one was. Sometimes there's an assumption that fidelity is a criteria by which the film has to be evaluated. Because film is my primary interest, I am not going to take that perspective. Realistically, the story is in different media, and so the storytelling aspect cannot be identical. So in my analysis, I will tend to emphasize the cinematic aspects, but also make some comparisons to the book. I make the argument that the film captures related, although not always identical, themes, and I see a major divergence in the endings and what they signify. The basic story is the same. A young girl, Star Carter, juggles life in two different environments. She lives in Garden Heights, a Black neighborhood of connected individuals and families that have lived there for many generations. They generally support each other, yet there are few legitimate employment opportunities. Gangs, in particular the Lords and their leader King, dominate many spheres of life. Drive-by shootings and other types of violence and the effects of poverty are common. The real-life context for this story is high-level violence and killings of African Americans by police in the United States. Now, most people are familiar with the Black Lives Matter movement, which started in 2013. Names of Black people killed in recent years include George Floyd, who was held down by police in 2020 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Riots erupted after video captured police pinning him down by the neck. He died shortly afterwards. Breonna Taylor was an emergency room technician, and that's another example. Just 26 years old, police stormed her home at night, unannounced, and shot and killed her. Again, riots erupted. It developed that the police used a no-search warrant, and the warrant had misleading information. She was not involved in any kind of illegal activity. Now, these kinds of incidents of Blacks being killed by the police go back decades. They go back centuries. Rodney King was an example. He was brutalized by police in 1991, and there are many such incidents such as this. The book and the film centers on a killing by a police officer that teenager Star witnesses. The person killed is her childhood friend, and she is traumatized. Two strong narrative themes tie into this incident. The first theme centers on the strength of the Black community and Black family. The second theme is that the strength of this community is vital for mental and physical survival. This last theme, a type of critical Blackness, can be defined as a keen awareness of social conditions, personal situations, and of historical and community knowledge about them. It is acquired with great cost. Such an understanding of Blackness and of Black people, African American Black people in particular, is often contrary to dominant knowledge and dominant representations. Instead, Blackness, in terms of family and culture, is perceived as odd, unworthy, not particularly insightful, or even worse, as inherently criminal. This inversion that both the book and the film present is seen in the first sequence of the Hate U Give movie, when Father Maverick Carter instructs his children on how to behave around the police. It's one of the first lessons that they learn. It's called The Talk, and it's complex. It teaches both the undercurrent of critical knowledge about how people are perceived and how survival depends on a critical, subjugated knowledge's culture.
Now, when it happens, don't act mad. You gotta look calm. Answer their questions, but don't tell them nothing extra. Keep your hands out your pockets. You drop something, leave that shit where it's at.
Maverick.
Leave that stuff where it's at. My bad. Now, one day y'all gonna be with me, and you best bet we gonna get pulled over. Now, that don't mean I did something wrong. Maybe I made a mistake driving, or maybe I ain't do nothing at all. You gonna see me with my hands like this on the dashboard. Come on. Now you keep your hands posted, because moving makes the police get all nervous. If I ain't with you, you ask for me. It can get real dangerous, so don't argue with them. But keep your hands where they can see them. This how you gonna act. We straight?
As French theorist Michel Foucault observes, the need for criminals is part of a system that justifies police, policing, and their presence. Quoting Foucault in Power and Knowledge, if we accept the presence in our midst of these uniformed men who have the exclusive right to carry arms, who demand our papers, who come and prowl on our doorsteps, how would any of this be possible if there were no criminals? And if there weren't articles every day in the newspaper, in our contemporary case in media, telling us how numerous and dangerous our criminals are. And indeed, representations of Blacks as criminals is widespread. Black criminality becomes a staple, an accepted norm. In America, policing and its origins are tied to the antebellum era, tied to forcing people to labor under inhumane conditions and needing a force to punish and to capture people who try to escape. For Blacks, the issue is to decolonize our minds. As theorist Linda Tuhiwai Smith argues, it is to participate in contesting a ubiquitous understanding. It is, quote, recovery. It is claiming a space in which to develop a sense of authentic humanity. In the talk, the children learn there is danger. They learn not to ignore it, but to learn the ropes for better survival. These knowledges and the practices that manifest from them are disqualified or unacknowledged by many, yet they take the center stage throughout the film and the book. In fact, observations about life are given through both parents and even developed, argued, or discussed. Rapper Tupac Shakur's Thug Life tattoo is referenced. The letters become an acronym for the Hate U Give Little Infants F's Everybody. It is a statement about cycles and the effects of systemic or imposed hatred. The Black Panthers 10-point program of 1966 similarly becomes eerily relevant as Star and her brothers dutifully repeat the 7th point. We want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of Black people. The most critical event Star experiences is witnessing the death of an old friend killed by the police. She constantly wrestles with this guilt, fearful that her testimony to a grand jury will put lives in danger from both the policing establishment as well as from the drug dealer who does not want to be identified. In addition, she has an older but searing memory of an even younger friend who died at the age of 10. She never revealed that she knew who killed her childhood friend. But again, it is the community wisdom that she is immersed in that eventually helps her to articulate and to become an activist. The themes of subjugated knowledge, of racism, of navigating through inequity, and then having the courage to change characterizes both presentations, both the film and the book. Now, the ending of these two media does differ. In the book, Star's mother, Lisa, is successful in moving her family into a middle-class neighborhood away from Garden Heights. The book's ending suggests that African-American wisdom and subjugated knowledges, and I'm talking about the decolonized and, in fact, indigenous ideas and perspectives that live in marginalized communities, that along with commitments to Blackness and Black people, can exist regardless of the environment, that you can take this with you. In the film, the family stays in Garden Heights. The film, designed perhaps for a larger, more diverse audience, conversely valorizes Blackness when it is contained within a Black and marginalized poor neighborhood. Yet both interpretations offer an interracial romance, perhaps suggesting a melding that happens in some contemporary societies as knowledges merge and isolation is not always possible. The notion of melding and merging dominates both the book and the film. In the book, the Carter family is Christian but doesn't eat pork, although they are not Muslim. This causes Star to name them Chrislams. The book also offers contrasts between Uncle Carlos's life and the life of his family to that of the life of the Carters. Maverick Carter, Star's father, has been imprisoned while Uncle Carlos is a police officer. Uncle Carlos also no longer lives in Garden Heights, but has a spacious home in an upscale, mostly white community. It is during visits there that Star sees her white boyfriend, Chris, and where she visits friends and classmates from her private school, Williamson Prep. Safety is taken for granted in Uncle Carlos's neighborhood, and people generally live in peace. Children playfully ride bicycles on the streets. In contrast, police cars constantly patrol the streets of Garden Heights. In Garden Heights, as the book notes, a tall chain-link fence surrounds a nearby Rose Park, where it is not uncommon for gangs to congregate. Of the park, Star says, smoke lingers in the air, making everything look hazy. Star also notes the stench of the park, another contradiction that's illustrated in the book. A shift in orientation and behavior is needed to navigate the different environments. A common term for this is code switching, but the difference also references the academic understandings about standpoints and conceptual universes. For Blacks, noticing these differences and commenting on them is not new. In 1897, African-American scholar W.B. Du Bois used the term double consciousness. It references the reality that in the United States, the dominant culture typically saw Blackness and Black people as a problem, as lacking, as something to be pitied. The double part lay in the fact that most Black people who lived in their cultures knew and recognized the wealth of their own cultural gifts, of their intelligence, and of their intense humanity. Du Bois later referenced the notion of double consciousness in his well-known book, The Souls of Black Folk. Star and her family, in both the book and the film, exemplify the knowledge that Blackness is not a stain, but a loving strength. It is a critical orientation that is born in a specific situation with varying manifestations. The lack of this knowledge on the part of the dominant culture is part of the reason Star does not share her trauma witnessing the death of her childhood friend Khalil with her white boyfriend Chris.
It's not like I don't trust you.
Then what's it like? Tell me, please.
Chris, I don't live in Williamson. If I had told everybody, I would have been poor Star who saw her friend get killed. Or Star the charity case who lives in the ghetto.
Do you think people really care about where you live?
Yeah, I do. Jeez.
I'm sorry, Star. I really am. But Black, white, nobody gives a shit. We're all the same.
But we're not. Y'all want to act black, but you get to keep your white privilege. You think playing ball and jumping in some lame-ass Williamson cipher makes you understand what it is to be black? It doesn't.
Star, I just told you I don't see color. I see people for who they are the exact same way I see you.
If you don't see my blackness, you don't see me.
And this sharply brings up the issue of colorblindness. Liberals who profess to be colorblind, who say that skin color and race don't matter, often cannot see the many ways that race and color do matter. Racial policing can be perceived as a result of Black pathology rather than as part of a system that works to disadvantage others while maintaining white privilege and power. The organization Mapping Police Violence, for example, says, quote, Black people were 28% of those killed by police in 2020, despite being only 13% of the population. This knowledge is experienced as grief and hurt. Star's friend Haley does not understand the loss.
Wait, can you go back?
Officer Brian McIntosh Jr. has been on the force for 5 years. A majority of those years serving in Garden Heights, known for its high crime rate, with murders up 15% this year alone. Officers have struggled for years to rein in the violence. Changes in policies, gangs and drugs have remained an issue for this predominantly African-American community.
Brian is a good boy. People have been making him out to be a monster. He's afraid to go out in public, even for a gallon of milk. There's been threats against his life, our family's lives.
Wow, that sucks. That poor family. What? His son was only trying to do his job and protect himself. His life matters too, you know.
Okay, I need to. Yeah.
Whoa, you guys haven't figured this out yet?
Wait, Star! Star!
I cannot talk to her right now.
That cop's life matters also. Are you gonna be mad because I said that too?
Yeah. Because you think that his life matters more than the person that you said you were protesting for. That's a problem.
Problem?
Please, guys.
Again, there is a tie into Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter founder Alicia Garza writes, quote, Black Lives Matter is an ideological and political intervention in a world where Black lives are systematically and intentionally targeted for demise. It is an affirmation of Black folks' contributions to this society, our humanity, and our resilience in the face of deadly oppression, end quote. One of the things Ms. Garza points out is that the lineage and inception of Black progressive freedom movements is uniquely African American. This is a point argued by many scholars that the experience has shaped a cultural orientation that is characterized by themes of liberation, identity, and humanity. Now, everything in this analysis may sound as if this is a woefully sad film. It really isn't. It is a balance of happiness within environments that are often not so joyful. Perhaps one of the best aspects is looking at these interactions, how its young protagonists are happy, sassy, and confident about their worth. You can see this when Chris is given a black test by Star and her brother after a school prom. Chris is also meeting Star's father for the first time.
I suggest you get some color real quick. I've got color on the inside, where it counts. All right, man. Well, I think it's time we test your black card. Which one for Thanksgiving? Sweet potato pie or pumpkin? Sweet potato pie all day.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
That's my baby.
Okay,
right
hold
there.
on.
He knows what's up.
We're not done. Mac and cheese. Full meal or side dish? Full meal.
Womp, womp, womp.
What? That mac and cheese ain't no full meal, man. It's a meal out of a box.
Oh, no, baby. No, it comes out the oven. Bubbly, cheesy, crispy
Preach.
on top.
Macaroni and cheese is a protein. You sprinkle breadcrumbs on top of it.
Breadcrumbs?
This Black orientation is witty, creative, and life-affirming. The Hate U Give is a film with many ideas worth celebrating, worth sharing, worth reviewing, and worth contemplating.